Hello YouTube, this is Gorod Radio Mosky here again with another beer review for you today. For this one we're going to go back to Japan, and it's actually been quite a long time since I did my last Japanese beer review for you, and that was another Hitachino beer, and I have another one of these for you today. And this is one that I've actually heard very good things about. A lot of people have told me this is a very unique beer. So today I have for you the Hitachino Nest Red Rice Ale. Really looking forward to trying this one actually, and as I say, it's been a long time since I've done a Japanese beer review for you. But as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery. But as I always say, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of the beer, then feel free to go towards the latter part of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, this brewery is from Naka in the Ibraki prefecture in Japan. It's about 80 miles to the north of Tokyo, and these beers are brewed by the Kiuchi Brewery, which was founded in 1823 by Kiuchi Gihei, and his family were collecting rice from the fields as a tax for the Mito Tokugawa family. But the brewery started with the idea of using up the remaining rice stalks to make sake wine. As you know, it's a very popular beverage in Japan, and I actually really like sake wine. A lot of people I know actually don't like it, but I think it's really nice, to be honest. But the brewery is particularly interesting today because they combine European brewing techniques with traditional Japanese brewing methods, so they're very unique in the craft beer world, I have to say. But they brew beer, sake obviously, which is rice wine, shochu, which is a beverage typically distilled from barley, sweet potatoes, buckwheat, rice and sometimes brown sugar. It's usually about 25% ABV, but shochu is actually typically made with sake kasu, which is the byproduct of sake brewing. But Kiuchi, who founded the brewery, he was a good friend of Fujita Toku, who was one of the activists in the revolutionary Tokugawa movement in Japanese politics, and he actually named one of his sakes as Kikusakari as a respectful gesture to the Emperor of Japan. But Mikio Kiuchi inherited the brewery after the Second World War. He inherited it in 1950, and this was a time where the Japanese economy was growing very rapidly, and the sake industry was obviously growing very quickly at that time as well due to the increasing demand. But the Kiuchi brewery prided itself in the fact that it maintained its brewing quality by selecting the best ingredients and the brewing processes rather than simply scaling up to meet demand, and that's the case with a lot of macro brewed beers these days. They went through the same process, just scaling up, kind of neglecting their brewing process simply to meet demand for customer base. But the Hitachino Nest Beer Brewery was founded in 1996 with the unique owl logo that you can see on a lot of these labels here. But this brewery has actually grabbed a lot of Japanese and international attention, and they've won many awards in various different world beer competitions, world beer cups and various things like this, and these are very good beers. From what I've tried so far, I highly rate this brewery, and I recommend you give anything you see from them. You're not going to be disappointed. But more recently, the company has been expanding into the wine brewing part of the business with the purchase of land next to the brewery, and they've put a wine yard here. And for this, they actually imported Merlot and Chardonnay vines from France, so their wine's probably going to be very good as well. But it's quite cool that they're trying to be a sort of all-round brewery, but they're very focused on the finest ingredients and things like that. But there are other beers that Hitachino do. They do the Weizen, which is the Hefeweizen Weiss beer, obviously. There's this one, which is the Red Rice Ale. There's the Espresso Stout, the Sweet Stout, and the White Ale. And I've reviewed that one for you before, but there's a number of other ones that I think are just limited and seasonal releases. I did one of them, which was the XH Extra Strong. You'll find the links to my other Hitachino reviews in the video description there, so check those out if you are interested. And you'll also find the link to the brewery website as well, so check that out as well and have a little look at their beers. As I say, you're not going to be disappointed with anything that comes out of this brewery, and it's really cool that there is some Japanese craft beer out there. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the bottle and cap for this one. As you can see, it's quite a nice sort of Japanese design there. You've got the nice sort of Japanese characters there. I mean, I'm really interested in Japan. I really hope to be able to go there one day. And it would be really cool to go and visit their brewery in Naka actually. But you can see on the side there, it says Nakashi Ibraki. So you can see the sort of address of the brewery there, and this one is a 7% traditional ale, it was described as. And as you can see, there's the nice traditional owl there, and just on the top there you actually have the sort of traditional Japanese looking buildings, and there's more of the characters, Japanese characters up there as well. Japanese is meant to be a very complicated language actually, so I'll need to have a look at that sometime. And as you can see, it's the typical owl bottle cap from this one here. But there's actually an interesting little bit that I looked up about the brewing process of this one here. Apparently this one is brewed with Japanese red rice, and it says on the back here, it says this red rice ale is brewed using a red rice from ancient times. Please enjoy the rose pink colour along with the fruity flavour and aroma. But this beer as well, apparently it uses Chinook and Hallertau hops with Pilsner malts, and it uses 2 types of yeast as well, ale yeast and sake yeast. But there's quite a complex brewing process involved with the brewing, and you have to break down the large starch molecules in the rice so that they can be converted to the sugars by the sake yeast. But they ferment this beer for 2 weeks and then mature it for a period of 4 weeks before filtering it, but they do leave it unpasteurised. So this one should be a really interesting one to try. So without further ado, let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting. As I say, it's a 7% traditional ale. So let's pop this guy open. Here we go. Going a little crazy there, just managed to catch that just in time. So as you can see, it's a really quite bright colour actually, as you would expect. Just sugar the last little bit up, try and get a wee bit of head on this one here. That's better, let's see. Okay, so let's just set this guy down. Let's check that's in line with the camera. It's all good. So as you can see, it's actually a really, really nice sort of pinkish colour here. I'll just turn the light on a little bit so you can see that a bit better. But yeah, you can see it's a really, really beautiful colour. I'm just going to check you're seeing this. As you can see, if I put this under the light here, I'll bring it over a little bit. You can see just how nice that is. It's a really, really bright orangey gold colour there. I'm not sure, I'm just shining that right under the light. My camera must be being a little bit funny. But as you can see, a sort of half finger of head there. A nice sort of foamy colour. Foamy, kind of a little bit off-white head actually, but that's going to dissipate just over time with drinking the beer. But a very, very kind of thin head on the beer there, but a beautiful, really, really bright golden colour. And it's actually hazy as well. If I put my fingers over the other side of that, I can't see through that there, but there's a lot of nice bubbles in there, and it looks as if there is actually some particles kind of floating around in there, maybe just a little bit of sedimentation, but it's a hazy beer. Actually, yeah, I can even see that if I put it up a little bit further, a lot of sedimentation, just very, very small particles floating about there. And as you can see, the head is just starting to fade away. It's becoming a very, very thin layer now. Just turn that light off there. But yeah, as you can see, it's a really, really beautiful looking beer, this one. I'll maybe just turn that back on. It seems to be doing all right there in terms of the camera. But yeah, I'll shift it out the way. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm really excited to try this beer. But in terms of the aroma here, it's quite an aromatic nose on this one, I would have to say. Just sugar it up a little bit, try and get a bit more out of it. But yeah, it's very fruity. There's a good bit of citrus in there, but you're also getting some kind of strawberries and grapes perhaps. Maybe some kind of peaches and things. It's not too pungent aroma, but you can tell from it, it is quite a complex one. But yeah, there's a good bit of citrus in there, some strawberries, peaches, grapes perhaps. But yeah, there is a sort of cooked rice element to it, as you would expect with it being a red rice ale, of course. But there is a sort of cooked rice just under there, under the fruits and stuff like that. But there's a bready, yeasty note in there too, and perhaps some herbal character, I would say. But there is just a little hint of what would resemble a sake aroma, in my opinion. A really interesting beer there, but you have to really breathe this one in or sniff this one up to get the aromas out of it. It's a very, very light aroma there, I would say. Maybe smell the bottle. Yeah, definitely, even in the bottle, very, very light aromas, I would say. You have to really sniff this one in to get it. But let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on. Very, yeah. I have to say, never tasted one that's quite come out like this before. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a nice sort of strawberry element to it there. Maybe just a little hint of citrus, but it's a nice sort of strawberry and maybe just slightly grapey taste on the opening there. Very sort of red fruits, if you like, I would say. Yeah, very very red fruits on the opening, definitely. Just the red fruits are coming in, then you're just getting that little hint of citrus after it. But it moves very quickly into the sort of malty taste there, and this is when you're getting the rice coming out, I would say, and you've got a nice sort of bready, yeasty element there. The yeast and the bread are really well mixed with this sort of cooked rice taste, and it's actually, this is a very, very unique beer, I have to say. Yeah, on the finish, you're getting some sort of spice character to it, and just that lingering sort of red fruit flavour. Really, really nice. As I say, this is a very, very unique beer, in my opinion. Really, really good. But yeah, this is a really beautiful beer. You know, definitely give this one a try if you get the chance. There's nothing else I've had that's like this. But yeah, you're getting that red fruity thing coming in on the start there, some sort of grapey strawberry flavours, and then you're getting a little hint of citrus, but it opens very quickly into the sort of ricey, malty flavours. And there's a nice bit of bready, yeasty character in there. Then you're getting the sort of red fruits coming out again on the end. Maybe just a little hint of spice on the end. But I think there's a good bit of herbal character in here as well that complements it. But it's a very, very complex flavoured beer. You know, just sip this one and just enjoy the flavour, I would say. But yeah, this is a beautiful beer, in my opinion. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would describe it as mid-bodied, and it's actually quite refreshing, but it does have just a little bit of dry character to it as well. But yeah, it's a very, as I say, it's a very refreshing beer, but it does have that little dry character underlining it there. And it's actually very smooth as well, but you can pick up just a little bit of alcohol warmth. But in my opinion, this is another beautiful beer. The Hitachino Brewery have done exceptionally well, and you can see why they win all of these awards. Really, really beautiful beers this brewery is producing. But yeah, overall, I would describe this as a really complex beer, definitely worth trying, and I'm highly impressed yet again by this brewery. And it's very unique. I mean, it's really cool because it's brewed with Japanese red rice, and you know, I can't even think if there's any other beers that do that. And you know, it's a Japanese craft beer. There's not many of these things around. Definitely check out this brewery if you get the chance. And this is a beautiful beer. I mean, the white ale is really beautiful, but this is a very, very unique one, if you like. You can get Belgian style white beers from quite a lot of places, but this is a really unique one. I would maybe say, even go as far as saying this is a good starting point with the Hitachino Brewery, and you'll get used to their style. But a very, very unique beer that I highly recommend you try. And you know, you're not going to be disappointed with anything from this brewery, in my opinion. But anyway, I hope this beer review's been informative for you. And as I say, I really rate this brewery very highly, and I've really enjoyed this beer. So I hope you get the chance to try it. If you have tried it yourself, please let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on it. It always is interesting to hear other beer geeks' kind of perspectives on beer, and it's always interesting to actually read through the comments and just talk to other people as well. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider it. I hope you've enjoyed this one and you found it informative, but please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. As I said, let me know in the comments your own thoughts on this beer. But I'll be back with another beer review for you soon, and thanks again for watching. You've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow. Cheers.